Hello my friends, and I bet when you see this, you're not expecting this to be a robot vacuum review, but oh, you would be incorrect. This is gonna be a robot vacuum review, and this is the world's first 3-in-1 robot vacuum, stick vacuum, and handheld vacuum. Is this vacuum the one to clean them all, or is it just a gimmick? I decided to partner with Eufy on this video because I like robot vacuums and innovation. Historically, if you have a robot vacuum, you're still probably gonna need a stick vacuum to get into those tricky areas, or if you have stairs or something like that. There's always gonna be a place that a robot vacuum cannot get. And don't worry, the Eufy E20 has you covered in the robot vacuum configuration, and it's gonna get a majority of your house, and you're not gonna have to do anything. But the vacuum portion of that robot vacuum is removable. You can take it out with the press of a button, and you can put it in a stick configuration, so you could get on your stairs, around toilets or anything like that. And it also has a handheld configuration, so you can get the tough to reach areas, these really small crevices, or if you wanted to even bring it out to your car. The suction power, when it's in the robot vacuum configuration, you're getting about 8,000 pascals, which is very good for what's on the market today, especially for the price of this thing. When it is in its individual vacuum phase, so in the other two phases, whether it's handheld or the stick, it's 30,000 pascals of suction. So it can provide tons of suction for picking up dog hair, picking up debris. I was just putting my Christmas tree out on the street. We had a bunch of needles out. I put the stick on, rolled over all that stuff, and picked it up, no problem. Now, before we go any further, I do wanna let you know that right now, Eufy is giving you up to $100 off and a 100-day trial on this E20. So go ahead and check the links in the description below. I think that's a pretty great deal, especially with that trial period. So you can rest assured you can purchase it, test it out. If it's not up to your standards, then hey, send it back. I love the idea of having a nice long trial. Something that's really unsung about this vacuum is the Aero Turbo 5-stage filtration system. Most robot vacuums, I have 2 dogs, and so I'm speaking from a lot of experience here, will end up getting clogged while they're cleaning. This system, it's got these cyclones in it, and as it's vacuuming, it is keeping the debris in the bin, it's separating it out, and it's keeping that filter nice and clean. So as it's vacuuming, it is not losing suction. Additionally, the base auto empties as you would expect, and it is very small. One other thing that I really like about the Eufy vacuums is your ability to tell the robot how often to go back to the base to empty its bin. A ton of robot vacuums these days have smaller bins because they're gonna go empty themselves at the base. Eufy was the first, I believe, that I ever saw that you could specify in the app how often to go back to the base to empty itself. So if you're somebody like me who has animals and tons of dog hair, then you're gonna want that robot vacuum to go back to the base pretty often so that it makes sure that it's emptying that bin, it's not getting clogged, and that it is always vacuuming for you. I've had plenty of instances with other vacuums where they get full, the bin gets full, it's still going around the house vacuuming, but it's not actually picking anything up. So this is a great feature. I really love that Eufy, at least it was the first that I was aware of that brought this to the market, and the E20 is no exception. It also has that feature as well. The other things that I wanna mention about this are the obstacle avoidance, something that I was impressed with. This does not have an RGB camera, which a lot of robot vacuum companies are going that direction now. And so it just got me wondering, how is the obstacle avoidance going to be? It's got the LiDAR on the top, which is very common, and it also has these 2 structured light sensors, one on the front and one on the side. So to really test it out, I put a bunch of obstacles out in my master bedroom, and I just turned the lights off and I set it to clean. I was like, all right, good luck. I put some socks on the floor, a shirt, some toys, just trying to mimic what my household would look like. I put it in my room, I put the stuff down, turned the lights off, and said, good luck. Came back, and it was all clean, and you can see on the map in the app that it just went around those things and identified them and said, hey, I'm not gonna vacuum here. One was even a plastic bag, which I thought for sure it would not notice that, and it did, and it went around it. And just so you know, it can detect objects larger than 15 millimeters. So it's gonna pretty much get everything down to 15 millimeters in size. And the last thing we're gonna talk about is the fast charging. So you might be thinking, okay, Most of the time, my robot vacuum historically would just be on the base all the time. It's always charged when I need it. In this instance, you're gonna be taking it off and putting it back on, and this thing can charge to 90% in 2 hours, and then it can get to its full charge in 2.5 hours. So that is very quick. I've also been impressed with the battery life in the stick mode and in the handheld mode. Eufy says that the maximum battery life in the robot vacuum configuration is 180 minutes, and then in the stick and the handheld configurations, it's 50 minutes. In the handheld mode, you can also go through 3 different levels of suction. You hold the button down to turn the vacuum on, and then you tap it to go through those 3 levels of suction. If you want to turn it off, you hold it down again to turn it off. Eufy is saying 1 to clean them all. So in this instance, instead of you needing a robot vacuum and then a stick vacuum or a handheld vacuum to do all kinds of other stuff, because let's face it, even the most advanced, most high-tech robot vacuums on the market, they're still gonna have places that they can't get to. A perfect instance usually is around the toilet, or maybe you've got an elevated surface or stairs. I don't have stairs in my house, but that's a super common one. If you want to vacuum your stairs, you would need to purchase an additional vacuum because just a robot vacuum is not going to be enough. Well, now, instead of going out and buying multiple appliances and spending all that money, you get all in one. You get the 3-in-1. So yes, let the robot vacuum do a majority of the work and it's gonna do a great job. But then if you need to get the stairs, go ahead and get that stick vacuum out and use that. If you wanna get into your vehicle or in tougher to reach places, you can do the handheld option. I like how they're really simplifying and then it's saying, hey, we don't need to sell you a bunch of different products. We're just gonna sell you this one that's gonna cover a very broad area. And in that same vein, this robot vacuum actually won an innovation award at 2025 CES. And my understanding is a robot vacuum hasn't won this award in the last 3 years at CES. So that's pretty neat that it's getting recognized as how innovative this is. The robot vacuum itself is very good, and the app is something that can be relied on. Just like the other Eufy vacuums we've taken a look at, this is no exception. The app is great. The robot vacuum has quick mapping, so this thing will set out, it'll map your house pretty quickly. 15, 20 minutes, it knocked it out. You can go in, you can edit the rooms. You can also set up schedules to say, hey, just clean this room or this area on this day at this time instead of a full clean, or you could do a spot clean. Now that this is so easy with the stick option, if you've got a really small space that needs to be vacuumed, you can just pop that vacuum right off the robot vacuum, plug it into the stick and go. But the app is great. Generally, I very much appreciate what Eufy is doing here. You and I, as the consumer, we just get to win as they keep innovating and trying to compete with these other brands. I really appreciate what Eufy is doing here. Also, one other thing that I'll note, just kind of the attention to detail here from Eufy. On the stick, it has 2 wheels on that attachment. I've had a lot of other handheld vacuums and they're just kind of like plastic wheels and they kind of slide all over the place when I'm going to vacuum. These are good wheels that have rubber on them, so they really stick to my hard floor well. So when I'm using that stick attachment, it just helps kind of turn the head and get into the areas that I want to. Just something minor like that, but to me was a big deal, especially compared to some of the other stick vacuums that I've used over the years. Don't forget to check the links in the description. You'll get up to $100 off and a 100-day trial, which I think is really neat. As always, thank you so much for watching Break It Yourself. I know you have zillions of other videos that you could be watching and you chose to watch this one, and that is not lost on me. As always, don't forget to thumbs me up, and we will see you next time.